floor on our backs. But before we get to the floor, go ahead and grab a yoga block if you have one. If you don't have one, totally fine. But if you do, I highly encourage you go ahead and grab it. I will show you some modifications, some extra support, things that you can use with your yoga block. And again, if you don't have one, totally fine. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on our backs. Feet flat on the floor, knees up to the ceiling. Nice and easy, bring those arms down by your side, wiggle those shoulders down, move your knees a little right and left, just getting the body comfortable and settled into the mat. And then begin to find stillness. We're gonna flip our palms to face the ground, help ground us. We're gonna turn our big toes inward like you're pigeon-toed. And if your knees knock into each other and rest on each other, that's totally fine. If they do not, that's fine as well. And just close your eyes and begin to bring awareness to your body, to the space around you. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Continue breathing like that. Nice deep inhales through the nose. Filling up that belly. Exhale out the mouth. Wiggle those shoulders down a little bit, so creep those fingertips down towards the heels, creating more space and length in the neck. And then begin to rock your head from side to side. Nice and gentle, nice and slow. Just feeling those bony protrusions on the base of your skull. Get a little massage from the yoga mat. Continuing to pay attention to your breath, but now breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. So you can keep your mouth closed and just gently inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. Find stillness with that head. Reach those arms up to the ceiling for me. Palms face one another. We're gonna flip our palms to face our knees, and then we're gonna gently bring those elbows down to the mat. You're creating a little goal post here. Bring those elbows down to the mat. Good, and reach those arms up to the ceiling, flipping the palms to face one another, and flip the palms to face the knees as you bring those elbows down to the mat. Let's do a couple more of these. The arms and hands should rotate naturally. We're just getting into the shoulder joints a little bit, feeling the stretch through the triceps, and reach up, and bring those elbows down. From here, we're gonna let the palms fall towards the floor. So you'll notice your hands may or may not touch the floor, totally fine. Just let them dangle if they don't touch. And keep the head on the floor, keep the back on the floor. And then let the backs of the hands fall towards the floor behind you. Same thing here, in this rotation, the backs of your hands may or may not touch the floor. One hand might, one hand might not. Just be aware of that. And bring the hands back to center, reach those arms up in front of you. We're gonna reach the right thumb back behind us towards the floor, and the left pinky down by our sides towards the floor, so you have some opposition here. Plug that right shoulder down the back, creating space between the shoulder and the ear, so you want that shoulder secured and activated. And then pull those arms back up through center, and we're going to switch to the other side. Both arms going at the same time. Your lower abdomen is going to start to activate on its own here to support your body, but you can bring your awareness to your lower abdomen and pull the belly button towards the spine. Think of pulling your ab muscles up underneath the ribs. And switch, nice and easy, gliding through honey here. You want the movement to have some tension throughout, but you don't want it to be fast. So yeah, imagine you're in honey. You can't go quick. Good. Bring both arms up to the ceiling, both fingertips, all the fingertips up to the ceiling. Give them a little wiggle. We're going to pull that right knee into our chest. Give it a little squeeze. Lower it down. Left knee into your chest. Give it a little squeeze. Readjust that neck. Make sure your chin isn't up to the ceiling. You want a nice long spine. So the back of the head flat on the floor. It almost might feel like your chin is tucking a little, like you're creating multiple chins. Underneath, that's okay. Just keep it a nice long spine in the back there. Pull that right knee in. Good, make circles with that right knee, nice and easy. You can take your left hand and place it on your left hip to keep it down because we don't want a lot of rocking here. We're really just trying to isolate the motions, getting into these joints. Reverse those circles. Come back to center, lower that leg down, left knee into the chest, pull it in, and little circles one direction. Try to keep that right hip glued to the mat. And then reverse those circles. Good, and then pull both knees into your chest, lift the forehead to the knees, tight little squeeze. And then exhale, lower everything down, reach those arms up overhead. Who cares about the shoulders here? Rock those knees from side to side, letting everything go. We're getting ready to start moving. And then hug those knees into your chest. We're going to begin to rock and roll to a comfortable seated position. If this is too much for you, skip it and just make your way to a seated position. All the way up. It doesn't matter which leg is in front, we're going to cross it over anyway. But as you're sitting here, I want you to take your butt cheeks, move them out of the way. I want you to really feel those sit bones rooted into the mat here. Lengthen through that spine, so that means you have to pull up in that low belly, but I also want your ribs to be knit in so they're not arching out. Drop that right ear to the right shoulder. Deep breath into the side of this neck here. Try to think of that left shoulder going down towards the floor. And bring the left ear to the left shoulder, same thing here, really releasing that right side of the neck. And bring the head to center, drop the chin into the chest. Continue breathing. And from here, we're just going to walk our hands out in front of us, nice and easy. Walk the fingertips out. You can make little tents with your fingertips. So imagine you have cupcakes underneath your hands and you don't want to squish them. So that our arms stay activated here. Let the head go. Gently shake the head no here. And then pull in that low belly to activate. Squeeze the glutes as you roll up through the spine, one vertebrae at a time. You're going to hear me say that a lot, one vertebrae at a time. And that simply means I want you to really focus on articulating your spine and stacking one vertebrae on top of the other. Really getting a nice undulation going. Almost thinking of those old school choo-choo trains that connected with magnets. That same concept, how one goes and then the other and then the other. I want you to think of that as your spine. Obviously now it's clunky, but you know what I mean. And take the chin into the chest. Let's roll through the spine, walk those hands out. Deep breath. Relax those inner thighs, let the knees fall, get into those hips. And now I want you to begin to sway side to side. Just feeling the stretch in the hips here. And then finding center, pull that low belly in, squeeze the glutes, undulate through that spine, rolling up. Last thing to arrive is the head. We're going to roll those shoulders back. We're going to switch the cross of our legs. This side's going to feel a little bit more awkward. Tuck the chin into the chest, roll through the spine, walk the hands out. Deep breath here. Walk the hands over to the left. This is going to begin to open up that low back. We're going to start to feel that nice stretch or pull in that low back. We don't want any sharp pain, so if you start to feel sharp pain, just back off a little bit. Everything doesn't have to be so hard. We're just working into the muscles here. And then walk the hands over to the right. Same thing, really think of stretching this low back. We want to think of that left hip bone rooted into the ground. We don't want that left hip lifting off the floor. Deep breath. Walk the hands back to center. Pull that low belly in. Squeeze the glutes, rolling up through the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Roll those shoulders back. Inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Close your eyes a moment. Check in with your shoulders. Are they pressed down the back, creating space between your ears and your shoulders? Is your lower abdomen pulled in? Are your ribs knit in and not splayed out? Relax those inner thighs. And inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Open those eyes. Let's make our way to all fours. We want our wrists stacked right underneath those shoulders, our knees stacked right underneath those hips. We're going to spread our fingers nice and wide. And we're going to begin to shift forward and back. Now if your feet, the tops of your feet are not flat on the floor like mine, you could take that pressure off. So if they're like bent up like this and you just can't get them flat, add a little cushion there. Pull in that low belly here, and then find stillness. We're gonna round through the spine like a Halloween cat. Let that head be heavy. Really round through the spine, pull in that low belly, really puff through the shoulders. And then exhale, again, articulating through the spine. So figure out where you're gonna start. Your tail, all the way up. As if somebody sat on your back, spreading your collarbones, looking up. And now pull in that low belly, articulating from the tail as you undulate through, finding that Halloween cat pose. Begin to shift forward and back, staying in this rounded position. And then find stillness. We're gonna reach that right leg back behind us, onto our toes. So we're getting a nice stretch through the calf here. Pay attention to your hips. You don't want that right hip sinking down, and you don't want that right hips up. You want to keep a nice flat surface as if you could balance a cup of coffee right on your sacrum. From here, begin to shift forward and back. I want that motion initiated from the core, but also really stretching through the sole of your foot, through your toes. You're going to feel a stretch in the calf. And then find stillness as you press that heel towards the mat for a calf stretch. Good, and hold. So I'm really pressing into my hands here just to get that stretch for a moment. And release that leg back to neutral. We're gonna pivot that foot down. So we want the outer edge of our foot, the pinky side of our foot, really reaching towards the ground. So you're gonna get a nice stretch to the side of your calf. We're gonna let this left foot wing out for balance. It's gonna naturally wanna go there anyway. So you're gonna wing that out. You're gonna adjust your left hand so it's underneath that left shoulder. And you're gonna twist that right arm up to the ceiling. So again, that outer edge of the foot, the pinky side, is really rooted into the ground. You're feeling a nice strip to the outer side of your calf, through the side of your foot. Shoulder is right above that wrist, nice and supported. Pull in that low belly and think of pressing those hips forward. And then reach the right fingertips to the side wall, so the bicep is right along your face. And then reach that arm back up to the ceiling. Lower it down. We're gonna square off our shoulders first. So we're getting a little twist here. Then we're gonna square off our hips, piece by piece. Make sure our hips are nice and flat. And then lower that knee down to the mat. Rock those hips from side to side. If your wrists feel funky in this position, you can always go to fists and be on your fists. See what works for you. And inhale, round through the spine, Halloween cat. Exhale, arching through the spine, cow pose. And inhale, cat pose, really round through that spine. Exhale, cow. Good, really focus on undulating through the spine, articulating piece by piece. Find that nice neutral spine. We're gonna reach that left foot back behind us. Toes are on the mat, heel is lifted. And pull in that low belly. We want to make sure the hips aren't sinking up or down. We want a nice flat surface, and begin to shift forward and back. Feel the stretch of the sole of the foot, through the calf, through the toes. One side is most likely going to feel different than the other. Good. Find stillness and press into that heel. So you're going to press into your hands, really reaching that heel towards the mat for a nice stretch. You're going to see the back side of me for this side. And then come back to neutral. We're going to pivot that left foot down to the mat so the outer edge, pinky side, is reaching towards the floor. Our right leg is going to naturally wing out. We're going to readjust that right hand so it's right underneath that right shoulder. Pull in the belly as we reach that left arm up to the ceiling. Pull in the stomach, squeeze the glutes, pressing the pelvis forward. Reach the left fingertips up overhead towards the sidewall so your bicep is along your ear. Good, reach those fingertips back up to the ceiling. And we're gonna square off just the shoulders first, then the hips piece by piece. Make sure that sacrum is nice and flat, pull that low belly in, and then drop that knee down, rock the hips from side to side. We're gonna bring our big toes to touch, open those knees nice and wide, sit those hips back, child's pose. Forehead comes to the mat, reach those arms out in front of you. Deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose Out through the mouth. For those of you whose butt does not touch your heels, like myself, you're gonna press into your hands and really press the booty towards the heels, even if your forehead comes off the mat. Just feel that for a moment. Good. And then when everybody's ready, we're gonna make our way to all fours again. We're gonna tuck our toes. We're gonna press into our palms and we're gonna activate our core and we're gonna hover our knees 2 inches off the mat and hold. Exhale, lower down. And inhale, hover and hold. Exhale, lower down. Last time, inhale, hover and hold. And then exhale, press those hips back up, downward facing dog. Adjust your feet as you need. To start, I'm gonna have you guys walk your hands a little bit wider than shoulder distance apart. This is gonna give you more space in the shoulders. Pedal through the feet. And as you pedal through the feet, spread your toes every single time you land. Making space, stretching all the fascia on the bottoms of your feet. And then find stillness, take a micro bend in those knees. And I want you to think of pressing the chest towards the thighs, reaching the hips up to the ceiling. So if you remember being a little kid and hanging over a swing, right, by your hips, so your hands are just trailing the dirt underneath the swing, you want your hips up like that, as if there was a strap right around your waist, just suspending you from the sky. The goal here is to get those heels to touch, but if you have tight hamstrings, like me, they're not going to touch until probably the end of class, or the end of the day. And hold here, a couple more breaths. And then inhale, let's adjust our hands, make them a little bit more shoulder width apart. We're gonna bend the knees nice and deep. We're gonna look in between the hands and we're gonna walk the feet to the top of the mat. We're gonna keep our feet hip distance apart. So if you have a block, a really good way to make sure that you're stable is you put the block in between your thighs. And you're squeezing into the block. So that way your feet are not adjusting as you're going through your flow. So just pay attention to that. Hip distance apart, pick up those toes, spread the toes like fingers. Gently lower the toes down, nice and spread. Good, you can have a micro bend in those knees, that's okay. Again, if you have tight hamstrings, such as myself, it pulls on your low back. So bend really helps take that pressure off until I'm ready. Nod your head yes, shake your head no. Take a deep bend in your knees now, like you're taking a seat. Pull in that low belly, squeeze the glutes, rolling up through the spine like a zombie, so relax those arms all the way up. Last thing to arrive is the head on top of the spine, roll the shoulders back. Good. Inhale, reach those arms up. Palms touch if possible, shoulders down the back if they don't touch that spine. But again, you can always use the block and imagine you're pressing into the block. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, grab that right wrist, lift up, and then exhale over to the left. Inhale, come back to center, switch hands, lift up through that left side body, and lean over to the right. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Release those arms down, close your eyes a moment, spread those toes, find your balance. Notice how your body shifts, but you don't fall because your body catches you. It's kind of like ping pong, your own internal, not ping pong, pinball. You go to one side and it pings you to the other side, and somehow you stay standing. Pull up the front of the pubic bone, drop that tailbone. Ribs knit in. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. So this means diving forward, chest forward, booty to the back, all the way down. Good, inhale, flat back. Pressing into your shins to create a flat back, or your hands can be on the floor, or my favorite is when I take 2 blocks and I place my hands on the blocks. That's giving me some resistance, something to touch, a surface, and I can create a nice flat back. Exhale, forward folds. Forward fold just means hanging, folding that body over, nod the head yes. Shake the head no. Bend the knees, rolling up through the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Roll those shoulders back. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Again, inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. I really encourage you to press into your shins so you really feel your position. Drop your booty a little bit, but we don't want to be like this. We don't want to be up, we don't want to be down. On a nice strong plank. Holding here for a moment. We're going to drop our knees. I'm going to walk you through modification. You can always do this. You're going to shift your body forward just 2 inches over those wrists. Exhale, lower down through chaturanga. Good. Untuck the toes. We're going to press up for baby cobra. So my quads are activated, the tops of my feet are pressing into the floor. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together. I feel like a little grasshopper or something with my arms. Exhale, lower down. We're going to do that again so we can really focus on these back muscles. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. We're going to tuck our toes. We're going to press up to a modified plank. So modified plank. Exhale, full plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Just your feet if you need. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Inhale, lift up high on those tippy toes, bend the knees, look forward. Walk the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees slightly, rolling up through the spine, moving a little bit quicker, rolling shoulders back. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold, all the way down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands, step your feet back, finding that plank. Then you can stick to the modification that we did, or we can move forward. Holding this plank, we're going to shift forward 2 inches. So my toes are pressing me forward 2 inches. I'm going to lower down through chaturanga. So hold here a moment. And then exhale, lower down. From here, your toes are going to press you forward and up. So forward and up for upward facing dog. Thighs are lifted, chest is up. Tuck the toes, that low belly is what brings your hips back. Find your down dog. Catch your breath here and breathe while I explain something to you for a moment. Pedal through the feet if that feels good. So when I say that low belly is going to bring those hips back, you're in this position where your chest is lifted and you have a lot of weight in that low back. So as soon as you tuck those toes, it's almost as if you want to think of like an extra lift in that low belly, pulling it all the way in, and that's going to give you that energy you need to get those hips back into down dog. From here, we're going to lift up high on our tippy toes, bend the knees, look forward, step the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Rolling up through the spine. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms reach up. Right hand is going to slide down, reaching that right arm up to the ceiling, hanging from an imaginary rope. You can sway a little if that feels good. Bring that right arm up to meet the left and switch. Just really feeling that hanging, feeling that stretch. And both arms up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant those hands, step the feet back, find that plank. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, lift forward and up. Exhale, low belly, takes those hips back. Find your down dog. Inhale, reach that right leg up and back. Keep that back leg parallel. Step it through. Find your lunge. Hands are still on the floor. You can always use blocks to support you on either end if you have 2 blocks. But we will be using a block. Hold here. Let those hips sink towards the floor. Gently lower that back knee. Untuck the toes. Use that right arm to kind of keep that right knee tracking over your front middle toes. You also want to make sure you're in a right angle here. So you don't want your foot to be too close where your knee is just going way over. That's not very good for the joint. So we want everything stacked. The more stacked you are, the safer you are. Good, and then we're going to pull our hips back and straighten that front leg. For now, I want you to try to think of keeping this foot flat on the floor. So even if this front leg is bent, that's okay, because we're going to feel that stretch through the top of the foot. Sometimes when that feels really tight and you feel a pull, I like to put my hand there, and it kind of myofascially releases that. You can go up to your ankle. Hold here. Pull that right hip back. Try straightening that front leg just a touch. Good, and then we're going to shift our bodies back over that front foot. Adjusting the knees, we want to wiggle that front foot out if we have to, so our knee is stacked over that back ankle. We're going to tuck our back toes. We're going to lift that back knee off the mat, finding our lunge, and then press into the hands as you step that right foot back. Left leg lifts up and back, keep it parallel. Drop that right heel to the floor as much as you can. Step that left foot in between the hands, finding your lunge. Hold here, settle. Make sure your knee is correct. Let the hips drop towards the floor. I know this is intense for your first stretch. Gently lower that back knee, untuck the toes. Let the hips sink even further towards that front heel. Continuing to breathe. We're going to bring those hips up and back over that back knee, straightening that front leg as much as you can, focusing on keeping that foot flat on the floor. Again, use your hand here on your ankle joint, on the top of your foot. Just gently move it around. Myofascially release that. Pull that left hip back. Not as dramatic as me. Nice and easy. Deep breath. And then we're going to shift our body weight forward over that front foot. We're going to tuck our back toes. We're going to press into our hands. Lift that back knee off the mat. Hold here a moment. Get the belly working. And press into the hands as you step the feet back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift up on those tippy toes. Exhale, bend the knees, look forward. Step or jump to the top of the mat, however you're feeling. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Pull in that low belly, bend the knees slightly, rolling up through the spine. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, diving forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back, find your plank. Shift forward, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, pull the hips back, find your down dog. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Get that feeling that you're suspended by your hips from the sky. Reach that right leg up and back. Opening up that hip. We want that heel to drop towards the butt. We want our knee up to the ceiling, but we also want to think of our right armpit facing the floor. So you have to get that nice little twist and rotation in the upper body. And then turn that leg back to parallel, toes facing the ground. We're going to step it through, rising to crescent lunge. So finding your balance here, coming up nice and slow, nice and easy. Now crescent lunge, your back heel is stacked over those back toes. So imagine if your foot was against the wall, your toes would be against the wall and your heel would be against the wall. So if you do not have that range, you are more than welcome to take a slight bend in this back knee to get that foot stacked where it needs to be. Inhale. Exhale, open up, warrior two. Now we're going into a completely different position where our back foot is turned parallel, our front foot, the heel is tracking in the middle of our back toes, arms nice and long. You want your chest right over your hips. You don't want to be leaning forward. You don't want to be leaning back. Nice and even. Bend a little deeper in that front knee. Warrior two. And we're going to reverse our warrior by holding our bend in the front knee, reaching our left arm to the back leg, right arm up and over to get that side body stretch that we've been doing. From here, we're going to straighten our front leg. So reverse warrior with a straight leg. Exhale, we're going to bend into that front knee as we bring our right forearm to our right thigh. Left arm up overhead for side angle pose. So we did this on the floor. We want to make sure our pelvis is pressing forward and our hips are not swinging back. Shoulder down the back. Rise up, warrior two. And we're going to turn everything back to parallel. So everything sweeps down, arms, hips, rotating, squaring off. Everything here, hands come to heart center, ribs knit in so you're not out arched like this. Exhale, hands come down to the mat, step that right foot back to meet the left. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Left leg reaches up and back. Step it through, crescent lunge. Stacking the legs, Stacking the heel on top of the toes. Feeling that nice stretch through the top of the right quad here. Sink a little deeper. A micro bend in that back knee is totally fine. From here, we're gonna open up to our warrior two. So we pivot that back foot down, opening the arms, keeping that left thigh pulled back, but making sure that that left heel is tracking in the middle of that right foot. Pull those ribs in. We don't want to be leaning forward. We don't want to be leaning back. Nice and centered, nice and strong. From here, keep a bend in that front knee as you reach that left arm up and back. Right arm can trail down that back leg, or it can wrap, whatever feels nice. Whatever level you're at, shoulder down the back. Straighten that front leg for a moment. Exhale, we're gonna bend into that front leg. Left forearm comes to thigh, right arm up overhead for side angle pose. Same thing, we don't want our booty out, we want it pressing forward. Bend a little deeper in that front leg. Shoulder down the back. Rise up, warrior two. From here, everything is going to go back to parallel. Arms, hips, toes, rotate, rotate. Work the body, use the muscles, shoulders down, ribs in, hands come to heart center. Are you breathing? Hands come down to the mat. Framing that front foot, step that left foot back to meet the right. Inhale, lift up on your tippy toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Step the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Grab opposite elbows for a moment and just dangle. We're moving pretty quickly in this flow just to get the body moving and opened. And release those arms down. Move those hips from side to side. Find stillness. Inhale, flat back. Let's keep going. Exhale, forward fold. Rolling up through the spine. Roll those shoulders back. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Really using your belly. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step the feet back. Find your plank. Low belly in. Shift forward. Lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Reach that right leg up and back. Step it through. Find your crescent lunge, nice and smooth. How smooth can you make these transitions? Reach that right arm down as we twist over to the right. You want to feel your legs as if they're a pair of scissors, so they're that scissoring action here. That left hip comes forward, that right hip comes back. Maybe reach to your right fingertips a little bit more. Inhale, come back to center, squaring everything off. Exhale, open up, warrior two. Reverse your warrior with a straight leg. Giving that quad a little bit of a break. From here, we're gonna go into triangle pose. So that means we're gonna shift our hips over to the left as we pitch forward and reach for our shin or a block or the floor. Now here, we don't want our hips out back behind us. We wanna imagine we're a piece of toast in a toaster. So we gotta keep that booty in. Even with all that side angle stuff, everything was pressing forward. Same with triangle pose. Fingertips up to the sky. If your neck hurts looking up to your fingers, you can always look down towards your foot, or you can look straight at whatever piece of equipment you're using to watch me. We're gonna bend into that right knee as we go into side angle pose. Let's bring that left bicep up near the ear. From here, rise, warrior two. Exhale, squaring everything off, finding crescent. Exhale, plant the hands. Step that left foot in to meet the right. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step both feet back, find your down dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Step it through, find your crescent. How smooth can we make these transitions? You're really pressing into this front leg to support you. From here, that left arm's gonna sweep down behind you as you twist over to the left. Legs are acting like scissors, so that left hip pulls back, the right hip pulls forward. Wiggle those left fingertips a little bit, maybe lean back a little bit. And square everything off. Open up warrior two, pivoting that back foot. Nice, strong warrior two. Reverse your warrior with a straight leg. From here, we're gonna tip over into triangle, so the hips shift to the right. As you tip over, left hand to shin, right arm up to the ceiling. Keep that right butt cheek tucked under and not sticking out. You're gonna feel a nice intense stretch right through this QL. Shoulders down. From here, we're gonna bend into that front knee as we take side angle pose. So that left forearm just rests. We don't want this action with the shoulder. We want it locked in position. Pull that left thigh back, make sure it's not sinking in. From here, rise up, warrior two. Exhale, square everything off. Crescent. Plant those hands. Step that right foot in to meet the left. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step the feet back. Find your down dog. Final down dog of this flow. Paddle through the feet. Deep breaths, move those hips. Get the hips involved. Just move the body in what feels good. We're gonna reach that right leg up and back. We're gonna swing it through and find our our pigeon pose. So your knee is gonna be out in front of you. You're trying to get that right hip on the mat before you bring the body down. If this is like an absolute no-no for you, or you have no idea what this position is, do not do it. I'm gonna give you a modification. So for those of you who are in pigeon pose, if your hip is lifted and you need some support, this is where the block comes in. You pop that right underneath your hip, so you're keeping your hips squared and you're still getting that stretch. When you're ready, you can go down to your forearms and then eventually lower your head down, but really focusing on getting into that hip. For those of you who cannot do pigeon or have no idea what that pose is, I'm gonna have you lay on your backs. You're gonna cross that right ankle over that left knee, and you're gonna pull that left thigh into your chest. Notice my feet are flexed. That's supporting my joints. Also notice that my foot that's lifted is in a right angle, and it's not like this, and it's not like this. Right angle. Pulling that in. You're getting that same stretch in the side of the hip. Good, hold. For all my pigeon people, we're gonna start to come up. Bring the body up first to your fingertips. Let those hips sink a little bit lower. Maybe move the block if you have a block under. We're gonna plant our hands, we're gonna tuck our back toes, and we're gonna step that right foot back to meet the left, pedal it out, down dog. My people who are still holding the modification, the figure four, just stay there. Pigeon people, left leg reaches up and back, swing it through, find your pigeon, drop that back knee to the mat, make sure it's parallel. Sitting up nice and tall first, finding out how much space you need. If you need to add space, or not add space, but account for space, grab a block underneath. Otherwise, let those hips sink down. Now when you're ready, lower down. My figure four people, we're gonna replace the other leg over. So you're gonna drop both feet flat to the floor, knees up to the ceiling. You're gonna cross that left ankle over the right knee. Good. Pigeon people can go all the way down. You're gonna pull that right knee into your chest for my figure four people. Pull it in, keep those feet flexed. Feeling that stretch in that outer left hip now. Holding here. For my figure four people, I didn't say this before, but when you're doing this stretch, you want to make sure that your shoulders are not lifted off the ground. You want your upper body to be flat. So if that means you cannot even pull this leg in, grab a strap, a towel, a dog leash. This is for the future, of course. Grab that and use that to pull it in so that this stays flat instead of you like struggling. My pigeon people on the floor, go ahead and bring the body up. Let those hips sink a little deeper. Move any props out of the way. We're gonna plant the hands. We're gonna tuck the back toe. Reach that left foot back. Find your down dog. And then exhale. Slowly make your way onto your backs. My figure four people, you're gonna bring both feet flat on the mat. So everybody should have their feet flat on the floor now, knees up to the ceiling. Gently rock those knees from side to side. So we're not bringing them all the way down. We're just up at a right angle towards the corner of the ceiling. Nice and easy. And let's find stillness. We're gonna pull that right knee into our chest. We're gonna reach that right foot up to the ceiling, circle that ankle, reverse. Bend that knee and reach that foot up. Bend the knee, reach the foot up. Bend the knee, cross it over your body. So let that right leg fall over to the left. Nice and easy here, guys, because it's a twist in our low back. Open up that right arm. Keep that left arm on that right leg, just to give it a little weight. And breathe. You can look over those right fingertips to accentuate that spiral of the spine. Try to think of that right shoulder melting towards the floor, so you don't want to be up here. You want this down. If you have to bring your leg up higher, that's fine. Again, this is when a block comes in handy. If you don't have that flexibility, you put the block right underneath. The block is your friend. And let's bring those knees back to center very gently. Both feet flat on the floor. Windshield wiper these knees. I always like this windshield wiper action because it almost resets that low back. It gives you peace of mind, like, oh, okay, nothing's wrong, nothing's gonna like go out on me. Just resets. Find stillness. Pull that left knee into your chest. Exhale, reach that heel up to the ceiling. Circles with that ankle, one direction, reverse. Bend that knee, stretch that foot up to the ceiling. Bend the knee, stretch it up. Bend the knee, stretch it up. Bend the knee, grab the outer edge of that left leg, let it fall over to the floor, bring that left arm out to the side. Head can look over those left fingertips. Deep breath, relax the belly. Sinking into this position. And then let's bring the body to center, nice and easy when you're ready. Coming back to center, as always, windshield wiper these legs from side to side. We're gonna pull our knees into our chest. We're gonna give them a squeeze. So really hug your knees in, lift your forehead to your kneecaps, rock side to side so you feel like a nice little massage on those crazy strong muscles on either side of your spine. And then find stillness, keep squeezing. And then exhale, lower down. We're gonna plant our feet. Our hands are gonna plant down by our sides, tuck those shoulders under. We're just gonna do a couple bridges. We're gonna tuck our pelvis and press our hips up to the ceiling. Pressing into the floor, squeeze those glutes. Keep those ribs in, so we don't want this action. We just wanna lift our glutes. So you probably wouldn't even feel like you're lifting them that much, but feel them lift. And now in this position, I want you to release your glutes. It's very awkward because then you're engaging more of your pelvic floor muscles. And then squeeze the glutes, and then relax the glutes. And then lower down one vertebrae at a time, undulating, undulating. Last thing to arrive is that sacrum. And again, lift. Nice and easy. And we're just gonna pulse that right hip down and bring it up. And then the left down and up. And the right hip goes down and then the left. Nice and easy, right and left. Good. And find stillness, lift those hips, exhale, lower down. Rock those knees from side to side. We're gonna lift our feet up to the ceiling, give them a little shake. And we're gonna go for happy baby. So that means we're gonna grab for the outer edges of our feet. We're gonna go for our ankles. If we have to, we go for our knees. This is a very awkward position, but it's really good for your pelvic floor, for your hips. So grab wherever you can, press those knees towards the armpits. I want you to think of your sacrum, that flat bone right above your butt crack, reaching towards the mat. So we don't want it rounded. We want it reaching towards the mat. Deep breath here. If this is really easy for you and you love this, you can straighten one leg and then the other. This is not my favorite position. I don't have the loosest hips, So this is a struggle for me, which is why I should do it. And begin to rock a little side to side, still thinking of that pelvis reaching towards the mat, that sacrum bone flat on the floor. Rocking side to side. And then find stillness, bring those feet in. Move those legs a little right and left. Pull those knees into parallel. Rocking side to side. And then we're gonna stretch that right leg out long, the left leg out long. Reach those arms up overhead like a good morning stretch. Nice and long. Yawn, maybe. Wonder if yawning is contagious via video. And then exhale, let everything melt onto the mat, palms up to the ceiling. Just let the legs go. They might naturally flop out to the side. Shavasana, just for a moment. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Feel your body just give to the floor beneath you. Imagine you're laying in sand, just sinking where it sinks, holding nothing. Relax your eyebrows, relax your jaw, relax your tongue. Feel all the tingles, all the sensations you have from class. And you can hold here as long as you like. Or you can go ahead and roll over to either side, right or left, for a fetal position. Let that head rest on the bottom arm as a pillow. Breathe into the back ribs. Keep those eyes closed for me as you press up to a comfortable seated position. So this could be butterfly, it could be cross-legged, whatever you want. Keep those eyes closed for a reason. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Checking in with your body. Is your belly pulled in? Are your shoulders stacked over those hips? Do you have a nice long neck? Notice the difference of how you feel from when you sat here in the beginning. Maybe you were a little tighter, or clenched, or compressed, and now you feel like you have little teeny tiny marshmallows in between your vertebrae and you're sitting up nice and tall. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Blink your eyes open. Now a little crooked. And you're all set. Thank you for joining me. If you want to see more, if you want to see something different, if you have suggestions, if you have requests, you can always follow me. Leave a comment below. Look forward to doing